Looking at some of the guys the Broncos signed in free agency, starting with the defensive back position and what we did to address that position. First and foremost, we signed Ronald Darby to a 3-year, $30 million deal. Love this addition. Really kind of sneaky good addition by George Paton. I believe this was his first free agency signing. Love this. Darby, 27 years old, 5'11", 190 pounds, played for Washington last year, also has played for Philadelphia and Buffalo. Is just a tremendous corner who I think is playing some of the best football of his career. You look at the Broncos last year defensively, obviously, I think we were a mess in multiple ways, but our passing defense, obviously, it lacked in multiple ways. We ranked 16th in total pass defense last year. We were 19th in completion percentage. Opponents completed 66% of their passes against us. Obviously, we need help in the secondary, and we needed help at the defensive back position. Obviously, we had A.J. Bouye, who's no longer on the team. He had injury issues all year last year and really didn't do anything. Bryce Callahan has had injury issues, so really the onus is, last year was on Michael Ojmudia, who was a rookie at Iowa, to be kind of the top corner for us. So we needed help desperately at the DB spot. You've seen pretty much every mock draft there is having us taking a DB, whether that be Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech or Patrick Surtain Jr. out of Alabama. So to bring in Ronald Darby makes a lot of sense. To bring in a DB makes a lot of sense. And while Ronald Darby's not a ball hawk, he's a great cover corner, and he's athletic. This is a guy that ran a 4.38 40. So he's got the speed to cover most number one wide receivers, I would say. And again, he was part of that great Washington defense last year. I believe Washington had the second-ranked passing defense last year. This is a guy, Ronald Darby, last season, opponents only completed 54.1% of their passes when they targeted Ronald Darby. He was targeted 98 times in 2020, so that's very impressive. He was 5th in pass deflections in 2020. He had 16 last year for Washington. Last season, the Broncos didn't have one guy with 10 pass deflections. Our top defensive backs were Ojmudia and Bouye. They led the team with 6 pass deflections. This guy had 16 last year. So again, you're just adding a really tremendous cover corner, and he can tackle, man. He's great against the run game. He only missed, I believe, 9.8% of his tackles last season. That was his missed tackle percentage last season. So you're talking about a sure tackler as well, who's going to add some assurance for you on the edge, especially in the run game, and help you in run support. We were 25th ranked rushing defense last year, and the 25th ranked scoring defense, gave up 446 points. Teams averaged 28 points per game on us. So to bring in a guy like Ronald Darby, again, he's not a ball hawk. I believe last season he only had 2 interceptions, or he's had 2 interceptions the past 2 seasons. I think for his career, he has 8 total interceptions. So you're talking about a guy that's not like a super ball hawk, but he can make plays. He's a great cover corner. Again, he's great at deflecting passes, and he's a sure tackler. He's going to help you in the run game, and he really, really improves that defensive back position. But the next guy we added at the defensive back spot really is the guy that I was even more excited to add, and kind of just once again just made me an even bigger fan of George Paton's free agency approach, and just love that he really, really did a great job of filling that massive hole that we had at the defensive back position, with first getting Ronald Darby, but then adding Kyle Fuller from the Chicago Bears. They cut him. He was a cap casualty, unfortunately, for their team. I believe they saved $11 million by cutting Kyle Fuller. So their kind of unfortunate loss there is our enormous gain. We were able to agree to terms on a contract with Kyle Fuller to a 1-year, $9.5 million deal. I believe $9 million of that deal is guaranteed. And just what a smart move once again by George Paton. First off, you get Ronald Darby, but then on top of that, you kind of hammer the point home of really kind of adding some assurance to this defensive back position by adding Kyle Fuller, and just being smart in the sense of realizing other teams' cap situations, and that the Bears might have to cut him or someone else to save some money for their cap situation. Just kudos to George Paton and our front office, the way they've operated so far. You can see a different feel. With all due respect to John Elway, I just love what this guy's doing, and this move is kind of indicative of that. Just love that he was able to really kind of take advantage of the Bears, unfortunate move here of utilizing Kyle Fuller as a cap casualty. Again, the Broncos didn't have a player last season in their secondary or on their defense that had more than 6 pass deflections. Kyle Fuller last season, in a year that I think most people will consider a down year for him, he had 8 pass deflections. So this is a guy, even in a down year, had more pass deflections than anyone on our team did last season. And once again, we're a team 19th, in completion percentage defensively last year, 16th against the pass. Our defensive back situation was a mess. Bringing in a guy like Kyle Fuller, I mean, you're talking about a 2-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro in 2018, the last season he played under Vic Fangio. This is really exciting, man. I mean, I'm geeked to have Kyle Fuller. This is a guy I never thought we would really be able to sign, honestly. And once again, huge kudos to George Payton for being all over this and being able to get Kyle Fuller here. And huge, respect to Vic Fangio for being, instrumental in being a reason Kyle Fuller and maybe being the reason Kyle Fuller wanted to come to Denver. Vic Fangio is a guy I've given a lot of flack, and I still, didn't like the hire of him, and I still don't think he's, the coach to get us where we want to go in terms of competing for Super Bowls. But man, his influence here, it paid off for us in a massive way to bring Kyle Fuller to the Mile High City. And you look at Kyle Fuller's last season with Vic Fangio, again, was an All-Pro in 2018. And in that season in 2018, he had 55 tackles, 21 pass deflections, and 7 interceptions. I believe the 21 pass deflections led the NFL. I think the 7 interceptions did as well. So now he's reunited with a guy who brought out that kind of production from him, and now he gets to play opposite a guy like Ronald Darby. I just think Kyle Fuller, it's going to be awesome for him, and he's only 28 years old. So this is huge to add a All-Pro corner like this at 28 years old, 2-time Pro Bowler, to reunite him with the defensive mind and defensive coach that helped him produce numbers like that. Man, that's really exciting, and you don't get opportunities like that often. And again, now you pair him with Ronald Darby, you reunite him with Bryce Callahan, which is great, and now Bryce Callahan has less responsibility. You can play him in the slot more, so what does that do for his game now? And now you have Michael Ojemudia. I mean, your defensive back position now is so much more deep and so much more talented, and there's so much more of a assured feeling now as a Broncos fan looking at our defensive back spot with Kyle Fuller leading the way, Ronald Darby, Bryce Callahan, Michael Ojemudia. And the great thing about this, to tie into the Broncos going to Trey Lance's pro day and maybe the Broncos wanting to draft a quarterback at pick number 9 or in this draft in the first round, is now with bringing in Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby, you don't necessarily have to draft a defensive back with that 9th pick. You don't have to draft Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain Jr., 2 defensive backs that some people have a lot of questions about. You're now not your hand's not forced to draft one of them because you address that position so massively with both Fuller and Ronald Darby. And now with that 9th pick, you can sit there and, if Trey Lance falls, take him. If Justin Fields falls, take him, maybe trade up for a quarterback you like, or just sit at pick 9 and take the best player available regardless of position. So that's what I love about George Payton making these 2 moves in signing Ronald Darby and Kyle Fuller. Not only did you address the defensive back position, which you needed to, and you upgraded it, you bring in an All-Pro in Kyle Fuller and probably a borderline All-Pro in Ronald Darby. Both of these guys are still so young at 27 and 28 years old, but you also take advantage of another team's financial situation with the Bears releasing Kyle Fuller due to a cap situation and making him a cap casualty. But you now also put yourself in a position by signing these 2 defensive backs, but you fill that hole at DB, so you don't have to take a defensive back at pick number 9, and now your options are endless in terms of the draft. So I just love what this guy's doing. In Peyton we trust, at least so far, and I'm just thrilled to have both Ronald Darby and Kyle Fuller in Denver. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on both these signings. How do you think both these guys fit in our secondary? Do you think both these guys are an upgrade over A.J. Bouye, obviously, who we had last season? And how do you think they fit with Bryce Callahan and Michael Ojemudia? How do you think Fuller's going to fit now with Fangio? And what do you think it does for our draft strategy? And us maybe not having to take a DB at pick number 9. Do you still want us to take a DB and we bring in Patrick Surtain Jr. or Caleb Farley, someone like that, with Fuller and Darby and just completely stack our secondary. Would love to hear from you guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, guys, and I'll see you for the next one.